you do not pack your carry-on luggage the right way, it can cause you a lot of stress, paying additional fees or just ruining your trip. Throughout the last 10 years I've been traveling almost only with a carry-on bag, and I've made many mistakes myself, but I've also learned how to pack efficiently, so in this video I'll share 9 most common mistakes people do when packing their carry-on so that you can avoid them. The last one actually almost gave me big problems with law, so make sure to watch until the end. First mistake is that many people are not checking the airline's regulations regarding the carry-on luggage size and weight. This may sound obvious, but almost every time I'm flying somewhere, I see people bringing too big or too heavy suitcases. Also, every airline might have a different regulation, so if you even have a suitcase that was suitable for carry-on so far, it might be too big for other airline. That's why it's crucial to check every time you're traveling what kind of luggage are you allowed to take on board. If your suitcase is too big or too heavy, not only you will have a lot of stress during boarding, but eventually you will have to pay a significant fee to have your suitcase checked in. Another mistake that you have to avoid is packing too big liquids in your carry-on luggage. To many people that are flying frequently, it is obvious that you cannot take bigger bottles than 100 ml, but I see this mistake made over and over. But even knowing that doesn't make people always pack properly. You need to know that the limit is not regarding the liquid amount itself, but actually the container. So you are not allowed to pack 100 ml of shampoo in a 200 ml bottle. Other common mistake when it comes to liquids is that oftentimes some products that are not really liquids are packed to the carry-on but are actually seen as liquids by the airport security, such as toothpaste, deodorants or other gels. So it's very important to pay attention to it and to not take anything that the security would have to throw away. Third packing mistake that triggers me now, but I have done it myself too, is not packing electronics and liquids on top of your bag. This is probably the most common mistake I've witnessed, and it's not only stressful for the ones doing it, but it also causes some anger among others in the line waiting for the security check. The reason for that is that every time going through the security check you are obliged to take out from your luggage your liquids. Usually that would be the toiletry bag and bigger electronics pieces like laptops or tablets. So if it happens that you have hidden this stuff at the bottom of your backpack, you'd have to take everything out in order to prepare for the check. So again, a lot of stress for you, but also making furious other people waiting in line behind you. You should always remember to pack the liquids and electronics properly and put them in an easy access place in your luggage. Another common mistake is overpacking. Actually, it doesn't only concern the carry-on but packing for travel in general, but it can be especially problematic when packing the carry-on luggage. Oftentimes people want to take as much as possible and be prepared for every situation they might encounter. That leads to heavy and bulky luggage that needs to be carried around during the whole trip. And at the end it turns out that many things that were packed haven't been used at all. Actually, it's better to pack minimalistic and, if necessary, buy additional stuff abroad. Smart packing is very important and can improve your travel experience. If you want to find out more about efficient packing to one bag, make sure to watch my One Bag Travel Guide. Next mistake that I have also made a lot myself is not packing all necessary cables and chargers. These days we all are packing a lot of electronics like laptops, tablets, phones, book readers, cameras and many more. So it has happened to me that I just didn't check which chargers exactly I will be needing. Sometimes what I now do is to list all the devices that will need to be charged and check if the respective cable is prepared to be packed. What makes the process a lot easier are chargers where you can put many different cables into it. But even that might not prevent you from not taking the right chargers in your carry-on luggage. A book reader on a long flight will be useless if the charger is in the checked-in suitcase and it's running out of battery. So make sure to not only take all the chargers necessary, but also make sure you have all the ones needed with you in the plane. The sixth mistake is also a very common one. It is not being packed according to the weather conditions. I've seen so many people going to warm places being dressed for colder conditions, and the other way around. This mistake is very common because it's actually quite tricky to prepare in some circumstances. You need to take into account the weather in the place you're leaving, the place you'll be arriving at, but also the temperature in the airplane. Worst thing that can happen is not taking warm clothes and jackets when going into cold weather, but it's not much better when you're packing warm down jackets when going to a place where it's 40 Celsius degrees. Having the right clothes for the weather is very important, so you better check the forecast and also make sure that you won't be cold in the airplane. Mistake number 7 is packing unnecessary stuff. How many times has it happened to you that when you got back from your trip it turned out you didn't even take something out of your bag? This has probably happened to everyone. So it's really common and you should actually reconsider taking every single thing that you want to pack. Is it really gonna be that cold to take an additional jacket? Are you going to the beach that you're packing flip-flops? Oftentimes people are also packing just in cases, and those cases almost never happen. I always recommend to be a little bit underprepared instead of packing stuff just in case. Usually, if something really appears to be needed, you can get it wherever you've traveled to. Also worth mentioning is to check what is already available at your hotel or Airbnb. Most probably you won't need towels or air dryers. Next mistake is also a very common one, and it is usually repeated until people get into trouble during their trips. And it's actually not preparing for the packing process. Maybe you're busy, maybe it's not that far where you're going. Many people just don't like packing, so they do it in the last possible moment without having a list prepared. What is the result? Hectic packing on a rush and throwing stuff into the backpack as it goes. And that leads to many of the previous mentioned mistakes, as taking unnecessary stuff but also forgetting things. Plus, if you're packing just before you leave and it turns out you're missing something, it might be too late to buy it. That was unfortunately my case. So you should always focus, sit a day or two before leaving, consider what you will need, where exactly you're going and what conditions are expected. For many people, making a list is a way to go. I usually prepare a short to-do list myself because just before leaving for a trip you can get overloaded with things to remember about, and having a list will make it a lot easier to not miss anything and pack as good as possible. Before we go to the last carry-on packing mistake, I want you to click the like button if what you've seen is something you'd like to see more of. Please also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to help the channel to grow and to see future videos where I'll be sharing many more travel and packing tips. Now, the last mistake that can cause you a lot of stress but actually can cause much bigger problems than that. I had to learn it the hard way, although I was lucky enough to get away with it. Once upon a time, I was traveling to a popular European capital of a country where some plants are legal, in contrary to many other European countries. While visiting the city, I have purchased some of the plant and consumed the vast part of it, forgetting about a small leftover that I left in my pocket. Luckily enough, just before the security check at the airport, wanting to take something out of my pocket, I realized I still had the thing in my pocket. I managed to throw it away, but my heart was about to jump out of my chest when I thought what could have happened if the security has found it, or even worse, if they found it at the destination airport. The moral of the story is to always check your pockets and backpack before packing for the next travel. Probably not many people are unintentional drug smugglers, but it's definitely not just about that. Many people travel with pocket knives, but you need to remember about lighters, nail files, razors, or anything that is forbidden to take with you on board. I always go through the whole backpack and check if there's anything I left from the previous trip. This short procedure might save you a lot of stress too. So, these were the most common carry-on packing mistakes I've witnessed throughout my traveling experience. Maybe there are other mistakes you've done. In that case, you can drop a comment in the comment section below. Also, if you want to learn more about packing into one bag that can also serve as a carry-on, make sure to check out my ultimate one bag travel guide. Cheers, safe travels and do zobaczenia!